Now, you know we love you guys, and we love that you guys watch our content, but 60% of you guys have not subscribed to our channel, so if you please would, we would greatly appreciate it because we have our own personal goals, and we want to keep bringing you guys great content here on the Korean Cowboys podcast channel, right here on YouTube. So please subscribe. Aaron, you got a word for these ladies and gentlemen?
Yeah, like you said, please subscribe. It'll help us a lot in growing our channel. So yeah, if you guys like our content, if you guys like what we're doing here, make sure to hit that subscribe button, and also if you guys can, hit the like button as well on our videos, and leave us some comments.
Yes, just continue showing us love after pressing the subscribe button, of course.
Yes, we want to get into the algorithm, guys.
Yes, please help us in our algorithm goals. Thank you, love you.
Alrighty, guys, welcome back to the Korean Cowboys podcast.
Yes, hello, welcome back. And you will have noticed that we are currently speaking in English. And why is that? Because we don't have a guest today, because we wanted to talk about something interesting and important.
Yes, so today's topic, the topic that we're going to cover for today is finances.
Yes.
And the reason why we decided to talk about this topic is because if you guys watched our Blanky episode, if you haven't, make sure to go check it out. We talked about 식비.
Yeah.
Which is like food allowance.
Mm-hmm. And stipend, not stipends. What is that? Per diem, I guess you could say.
Yeah, but we were just like, you know what? Let's talk about finances. It might be like a fun episode. So
yeah, you know, and I think not a lot of people touch on this, but without getting too in detail, to get in trouble. We're going to talk about how you make money and how money is handled, when you work in this industry, but also what hardships and being broke has taught us about being fiscally responsible as adults.
Yes, we got broke stories for days, but
once broke, now woke, financially, of course.
All right, so let's jump straight into the topic. What was the financial situation like for you when you were an idol?
All right, so I don't mind spilling a little tea when it comes to my financial situation back then. I had to think about what it was like back then because I don't really remember that well. And then I got back into it, and it was kind of like open floodgates of how difficult I had it back then. Back then, I was pretty broke.
Yes.
I was severely in the hole, and I don't mean that just like in what I owed my company. I meant like what I was spending, how I was getting the money that I was spending. So, I'm sure you got your own stories, but I'll jump into mine first. When I used to be a trainee, I guess back then my company wasn't necessarily responsible for paying for my stuff because I wasn't living in dorms when I was a trainee. So,
okay.
Yeah, I was kind of living on my own, and I was just buying my own food and stuff. But once I debuted and I moved into the dorms, of course, that was all paid for. And we talked about 식비 before, or our food allowance. And back then it was, I think, $5 or $7 roughly per meal, which was 3 times a day. Actually, no, it was 2 times a day. I guess we were expected to starve for the first meal. Yeah, so that was pretty much how much money we got. And back then, the only things that I could afford, or that we could afford, was a place called Hansot in Korea.
Yeah.
You know what Hansot is, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like basically like these little prepackaged meals, like a doshirak. And even the higher class ones we couldn't afford. So I basically ate chicken mayo every single day. And then, the other thing that we could eat was papbogo, which was like a burger, but
like
it's
a rice burger.
But it's made out of rice. Yeah, it's kind of hard to explain, but I'm sure our lovely PD will put a picture of what that is in the bottom. Yeah, so basically that was it. How was your financial situation when you were, before you made it?
So I guess when I was a trainee, same with you, we had like a food allowance. If I remember correctly, it was 6,000원, which is 6,000 won, or it might have been 7,000 or 8,000. It's a little cloudy right now, but yeah, same with you, 3 meals a day. I would order at places like Hansot or like Kimgane.
Kimgane.
Stuff that were cheap, that were available within our, I guess, means. And everything else that we wanted to eat, like from like convenience stores, whether it be chips or sodas or whatever, we would have to use our own money.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, keep in mind though that 6,000 won back in 선배님's day, which was like 1917, that was a lot of money.
Yeah,
so,
sure. Yeah. No, but yeah, I just remember like I obviously I lived in dorms for a while, so like housing and food and stuff, everything like that was covered. But I didn't really make my own money until after I debuted.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, like,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I mean, I think it's when you're a trainee, like you don't really, or in the beginning days, you don't normally have the time to go and get like a part-time job or anything. And actually, my company straight up forbid it. Like they didn't let me do that, even though
Yeah, I feel like back in the day that was like kind of like frowned upon,
Yeah.
having like a side job or whatever.
you're a celebrity, you can't be working. You know,
Yeah,
it was like
yeah.
that. It was like that thing. I would have been down to do it, but you know, that wasn't allowed to. So, actually, at that point, after we debuted, and then you know, I think there was some financial difficulties, so we actually didn't have Shikbi anymore. We got it taken away, and then we had to use our own money. At which point, I asked my company, I was like, "Well, I don't have a job. You won't let me work. Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, blah blah." Blah. And they were like, "Well, just ask your parents for money." And I was like, "Wow, that ain't it." You know,
Yeah.
I don't like to ask my parents. Like back then, I didn't want to ask them because it was, you know, I was like, you know, in my 20s already. I should be self-supporting myself to some degree.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that's what I had to do. I'm now very, very deep in the hole, Mom and Dad. I will pay you back. Don't worry about it. Yeah. So basically, I was at the whim of my parents at the time, and technically, that shouldn't be something that I should have had to have done. But you know, circumstances call for certain things.
Yeah. I mean, like, same for me. I actually, we'll talk about this later, but I've only gotten money from my parents, I think, once while moving to Korea. I actually have an aunt, a 고모. And my 고모 used to give me 용돈 every month. Thank you very much. 고모 너무 감사합니다. 사랑합니다. She used to give me 용돈. So, you know, I would always, you know, take out, you know, my members to eat or order us chicken or whatever after practice. But yeah, that's pretty much how I survived my trainee days and my early debut days was pretty much thanks to 고모. 고모 감사합니다.
Thanks to Mom and Dad and to Gomo.
Yeah. But the way that it works in our industry is you have a contract, whether it be just for the sake of like just our conversation right now, let's say it's like 5 and 5, right? 50-50. Then whatever outgoing costs there are, you split that 50-50 with the company, but also likewise, any like incoming, like, you know, like gains that you have, it's also split 50-50 with the company.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So say theoretically that was the contract that you had. That's how it works. So in case you didn't
Yeah.
know, it's not like you get everything, or it's not like the company gets everything. Like it's there's a lot more to it than just like, it's not so cut and paste. You know, there's a lot of like splitting and all that stuff.
But there's definitely like a lot of like outgoing costs, whether it be like, you know, like clothes from a stylist, hair and makeup, you know,
Things that you get on the way to schedules, like food and drinks and or
food and
gas.
drinks,
Gas is in there.
Yeah. There's a lot of outgoing costs, which is why like a lot of idols who haven't per se made it yet, or idols who are just coming out now are struggling to get a paycheck.
Because depending on the company you're from, even like costs for music videos and like training and all that stuff, like that's all stuff that has to be paid back. Luckily, I'm
Yeah.
not in that anymore. But
I mean, it depends on what type of contract you
Yeah,
sign.
depends.
I'm not going to speak about my contract, neither are you, but you know, we can't speak for anyone else. But yeah, that's like the gist of pretty much like the idol contracts. There's not really much to it.
Yeah.
But it is a system where if you're not doing very well, if you're not in a good position, like you yourself or your team, it is a system where it's hard to make money.
Right. Yeah.
But I mean, like, so what were some like hardships that you faced when you were broke?
Well, when I was broke, I actually was evicted from my dorms by my company.
Oh yeah, I remember this. Yeah.
And they originally what happened was we were taken out of our dorms, and then basically saying like, you guys just try to figure out living situations for now. And, you know, in a few months when we get financially figured out, we'll put you guys back in the dorms. Until then, like, just figure out the people like me who didn't have homes in Seoul. They said like, well, just pay out of pocket for now and we'll give you the money back later. So me and another member actually moved into like a bunk bed, an 2층 침대 고시원 in Yeoksam or Sunneung or somewhere over there. And basically we were living there for like 5-6 months. And then, you know, and then from there, my company sort of tanked over and I never got reimbursed for any of it. And at that point, you know, I was still getting money from my parents. And then from there, after like everything was over, I moved into my own Goshiwon, and I basically had everything that was on my body was on me at that time. And I said, like, because like basically I had no money, and my parents were like, I was like, if the idol thing's over, they're not going to keep supporting me, So I had to basically support myself. I got a job at a cafe, as you know, and I was living in a Goshiwon. I basically set rules and like guidelines for how much I could spend a day, and that limit was 10,000 won a day. That was how much
meals and
for meals and transportation and all that stuff. I didn't have much room for leeway really, because at the time I was probably paying manon a month.
Yeah,
working, at the cafe and stuff. So I wasn't making that much money. And there's really, after rent and all that other stuff, health insurance, blah, 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 like I had very little leeway to be able to spend money on anything luxurious or, comfort, anything. Like it was basically just grinding all day,
Yeah, just to like survive.
Yeah. So basically that's where I was coming from at the time.
Yeah.
But, at that point, I will say, Aaron did help me out a lot. Not from like borrowing money and stuff, but like he would like, take me out to dinner or lunch or whatever. And he used to come to the cafe all the time and bug me.
Yeah.
How about you?
For me, hardships when I was broke. So like I mentioned, my aunt, my komo used to give me yongdon, like allowance every month. But like it got to a point where I felt really bad, and I was like, you know what, it's okay. You don't have to give me money more. Like I'll figure out what I need to do. And so I didn't have any income for like a long time. So that's why people ask me, it's like a side note, but people ask me, they tell me, they say, when you drink, you don't really eat. And I'm like, I think that's like a product of like just habits that I got into from being broke. That's because when I was broke, I never had the money to order food with the alcohol. So it would just be like, just give me soju. I would just soju and give me like the peanuts that you guys give me. You know what I mean?
There you go.
I think that's become a habit of mine.
Sad.
It's a sad story, but I'm like used to it now. And also, like Joel said, I didn't really set a limit for myself on how much money I could spend a day, but at one point in time, when we were living in dorms, there was a place that sold wangmandu. I think it was like 3 for like 5,000원, and I would buy 3 and just eat 1 for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Oh my god! But
Yeah.
the wangmandu, are we talking about the big ones that are like
Yeah,
this
like the big
big?
ones that are like this big. Yeah,
But you don't eat much anyway. But still.
Yeah. But so that's how I got off, like survived off of 5,000원, I guess, a day, eating meals. And then it got to the point where I was like, I really can't. I can't eat. I didn't have money for the subway. So I had to call my mom, and I was like, hey, I'm so sorry. Like, I haven't asked you for money in like the last 7 years, but like, could you maybe send me like $1,000 so I can like live? And so that was the first and only time since I've been in Korea that I've gotten financial help from my mom and dad. Those were like very like weird times. Oh, and do you remember? Also in front of my dorms, long time there was Tongdak. Do you remember that? By the station.
Yeah.
There was Tongdak, so they would sell like whole chicken, like 2 for $7.
It's still there. I went there with my dad.
Yeah.
I passed by there with my dad when he came to Korea last time, and I was like, yeah, I remember that place.
Yeah, I used to eat there a lot. Yeah, but I mean, like, you got to do what you can within your means, right?
I mean, listen, side note, at least I was eating like doshiraks and stuff like that, but you were eating just straight up mandu. Like there's a lot of like vitamin deficiencies in just eating mandu, so don't do that.
Yeah.
That's how you went from muscle king to skinny legend, because wow, yeah, no, I mean, it wasn't easy. But I will say that when I did start to become self-sustaining, not working at a cafe, like actually like with my new company and like doing all this and that work, I will say that life has become very comfortable compared to what that used to be.
Yes.
And and to be like completely honest, I think it also made me very fiscally responsible. Like I don't spend money on things unless I really have to, or very rarely will I treat myself. I think it's just a byproduct of that time. So I think it's not bad. I think it's a good thing.
It was like a good like life experience.
Yeah.
Like the situation that you went through that made you grow as a person.
If you watch the blank episode, I think I called you out on the bracelet that you had, right? And you said it was the first Jeongsan you ever got.
Yeah, so I mean, it wasn't the first Jeongsan that I ever got. I got like small,
Like the
Jeongsan,
substantial Jeongsan.
but it was like the first like big substantial Jeongsan where I was like, wow, like my work is actually paying off.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go buy myself a nice present. And I think that was like the first thing I ever bought with a big paycheck. That was my first ever big paycheck. Yeah, well, it's a good present.
Yeah, I mean,
I've always wanted that bracelet.
I don't remember what the first big thing I bought was, because I mean, I'm not like super successful or anything, but I'm not like, broke either. So I think the first thing I bought with my first Jungsan was like a really nice meal, actually. I think like a real deal, like nice food.
Yeah.
Like, I think it was like a real, not bougie, but it was like, I wasn't like penny pinching to buy a meal. You know what I mean?
Honestly though, like, I don't know if it's because I'm so used to eating like, I don't want to say cheap foods, but like not expensive foods. Like, I actually enjoy eating like junk food.
I think you need to. I'm always like, he always calls me and he's like, hey, what should I get for lunch? And I'm like, how about a salad or like something that's not Taco Bell or like, a hamburger.
No, but like sometimes like people are like, oh, I want to go out and eat like a steak. I'm like, wouldn't you rather just eat like samgyeopsal? Like, it sounds so much
I think
better
sometimes you want a steak.
Yeah, those are like our broke days. And then after, we both became self-sustaining adults.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna lie, I had a period where I kind of like went crazy and bought whatever I wanted.
Yeah,
that was
when you and I were living together, right?
Yeah, it was not good, guys.
I was like, you sure you need all this stuff?
Yeah, I
50 cent.
Yeah, I went a little crazy, but like I think it's because like I never grew up with that type of like those types of things like around me. Like, I'm not from like a wealthy family, so I never had the privilege of being able to buy a car or like stuff like that, or like luxury brand clothes and stuff. So I think I went a little crazy with my first few paychecks, but
I mean, good or so, you were living in the gutter, and then you fell into the lottery.
Although to everyone that if you guys are like struggling right now and then later on in your lives you guys make a lot of money, save it or buy a house, buy land.
There you go,
guys. That is the smart thing to do.
What's that thing that they say that's like things that will never devalue and deappreciate in value? Land, I think gold, stuff like that. Safe investments. Oh, another thing that I really wanted to get, because like a lot of people, they really, really, really get sucked into this, and that is the habit of borrowing and or lending money.
Yes.
And I don't know where you stand on it, but like for me, for example, I have a strict no borrow, no lend policy unless there's really extenuating circumstances. I don't know, because I feel like that if you get into the habit of lending or borrowing huge amounts of money, that it can, first of all, from your friends, it'll destroy your friendship, I think, at some point. Because I will admit, there was only one time ever that I asked you to borrow money, and it wasn't even extended. It was like $300 because I didn't even have food to eat. Like it was, I was like, if I was in, danger of starving. So, I was like, Aaron, I really hate borrowing money from anybody, but can you borrow me, like, lend me like $300 because like I have no money for food. And then he lent me $300, and then I was like, I have this thing too. I'm like, if someone lends me money, like, I will try to pay it back without having to get a reminder, because then it shows. I think it shows a lot of like character when it comes to that sort of thing. So like he lent me $300, and I was like, okay, like the next month after I got my paycheck from the cafe, I was like, all right, Aaron, I got you your money here. Let me give you back. And then he was like, no, don't worry about it. I got a better deal. You remember this? No. Like, I need you to go to Karosukir to H&M and just get me like 2 5-packs of underwear from H&M, and we'll call it a day. I remember this. And then, so I was like, all right, I mean, if that's what you want, like, whatever. So I went and bought the 3 5-packs.
I was too lazy to go to H&M, guys.
Yeah, so like I bought him his underwear. And then we called it a deal ever since then.
Yeah.
But what about you? What do you feel when it comes to lending or
my policy on borrowing and lending money? I personally just don't like borrowing money from anyone. I don't think I ever have. I just don't like feeling indebted to someone.
Right.
That's just me personally. That's my personality. Lending money, I'm not one that'll shy away from lending money to like close friends. Like if you're someone that I've known for years and someone that I see on like a regular basis and I actually really trust, and you have like a situation, like of course, like if you need the money right now, like of course, like help you out. If I'm in a position to help someone out, I will. I think that's how I've always been. Like I don't expect the money to be paid back right away either. It's just like for me, it's like like take your time and do it. Like whenever you can. And I think that's something that my dad told me when he visited Korea once. We were talking about, like borrowing money and lending people money. And he was just like, if it's your close friends, he was just like, just lend it to them. Right. Like, don't expect it back and just lend it to them, But, like if the person, all of a sudden, like acts weird around you or, like doesn't answer your calls all of a sudden, then my dad was like, then just, cut them off. Just to think about like as like a sunk cost.
That's true though. Wise words from Taehyung Guak because I think that you're the same way. Actually, I guess when it comes to borrowing money, I don't like doing it either. But if someone really close to me asked me to borrow money, and I had the yo-yo to lend it to them, I would be like, I wouldn't even expect to get it back. Like if they pay it back, great. But like I would consider it to be something that it's just money that flew away. Like,
So like,
you know what I mean?
Especially like amongst like close friends, and if I get it back, great.
Right.
Like that's awesome. That makes my choice in friends even better, right? It makes my judgment even better. But if they don't, like whatever. Like bye. That's all you gotta do.
No, yeah, definitely.
Well, what about you, Joel? As you get older, what are some rules that you follow in terms of, I guess, your funds?
Well, let's see. I got my rent. That's the one thing that goes out on the 23rd of every month. I also have my health insurance, which sits around $150 a month. And then I also have, what else do I got? A Youngum or pension, which is a new addition to my lovely payment system. I also got my phone bill. And right there, that's like everything that's like, has to go out every month. For a day, for example, where I stay home and I don't go anywhere, I will usually try not to spend anything. I'll usually try to.
Yeah.
Because I have food at home. Why get Mickey D's? We got Mickey D's at home. Days where I go out, I try not to spend unnecessarily. Now, the only exception to this is when I stupidly get drunk. Because when I get drunk, I just stop caring about how much I spend. And then I wake up the next day and I'm severely depressed because I just spent more money than I really should have.
Yeah.
And I'm not even kidding you. When I on days after drinking, right? And I'm getting really lit, and I'm like, yeah, it's a party, blah, blah, blah. Of course, I mean party at a pocha because I don't go to clubs, but but days like that, I'm like, I wake up the next day where I wake up and I open up that app and I shed a tear, and then I'm like, all right, it's nothing but Ramyeon for the next couple of days because I need to like balance this ish out, So basically, the only exception is that if I know I'm gonna go out drinking, I'm just like, I've actually had my friends hold my card because I don't want to be stupid and spend money.
Yeah.
I think I've asked you to do that before. What about you?
Me? I mean, honestly, I don't really have like a specific set of rules that I've made for myself. But if I get paid, like on a monthly basis, I try to like maybe save like 40% of it. I would say 40%, and then just like put that in the bank. Just don't use it. Right. And then like the other 50, I'll spend it on rent, food, gas, whatever needs to go out. But there are definitely months where I like Joel said, go out, get a little drunk. I'll spend a little more than I wanted to.
Splurge.
Yeah, I'll splurge a little bit.
Oh, the splurging is not by my own will. Like it's my alcohol mind just takes over. And
yeah, but I think that it is a smart and good choice for people who are living on paychecks to take like a chunk of that money that you get every month and put it into the bank, and whether you invest it in something or like do something with that money.
Right,
or just save it, It's always good to have emergency funds.
I do have a separate savings account that money goes into. I'm not even gonna get into investments because you're talking to the wrong guy about like stocks or
I don't
cryptocurrency. I don't know about stuff like that. Like that's either. I don't involved in that, but definitely do consider the importance of self-finance.
Yeah,
we sound like a self-help seminar.
We're not like a finance-based like podcast or anything, so we're not going to get super deep into it. We're also not that knowledgeable in finances, but we just want to give you guys our takes on certain things, our experiences with money. What would you say your goals are, like financial-based aspirations?
Definitely. Of course, I want to be rich. Everybody wants to be rich, right?
Yes.
I'm, not doing too bad for myself right now, but I'm not rich. I want to be able to go and buy things with gold bullion, and I want to be able to, have FU money. You know what I mean? To be honest, like I want to be able to like go and like just be like, oh, Gucci, maybe just this piece and that piece, and maybe I'll get the next one next time. I want to be able to do that, but I don't really like Myungpoom stuff. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like just be able to go and buy things without really worrying too much about the impact that it might have on you. To move out of my dumpy house, maybe. I think that's a big one. Racks on racks is what I want. How about you?
Me personally, I would like to become a homeowner.
Okay.
Obviously, I want a home that I own. I don't think I have a certain number in my mind that I want to make, but I do want to be at that level where I have enough money where I'm free to do whatever I want. Does that make sense?
Because I feel like me.
Yeah, I feel like if you make enough money, like where you can sustain yourself like without repercussions, I feel like that sets you free. Like you're free to do whatever you wanted. Like you said, F you money.
Right, right.
So yeah, hopefully, later on down the line, we'll both make that type of money.
Yeah, but definitely, just to be able to have some fun in life, not everything's in the world in life is about money, but it damn sure is important.
Yes.
And anyone that tells you that it isn't is a doggone liar. So
yeah, we'll end today's episode on finances here. If you guys like today's episode, like you said, make sure to subscribe to our channel, like our video. And if you guys are bored and want to watch our other videos, we are on season 3 right now. So we have a plethora of videos you guys can watch.
Yes, and you know what? Just like I do at night with historical documentaries, you can just turn this on while you go to sleep, and then
leave it on the charger, guys.
You guys can just hear us in your sleeps. You guys can meet us in your dreams. Isn't that something? Definitely a thing to consider. So, yeah, today's been fun. So we hope to see you guys next week for another exciting episode of the Korean Cowboys Codcast.
We'll see you guys next week on another episode of the Korean Cowboys podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in this week, and we'll do our sign off, I guess.
Yes, we will. 3, 2, 1. Yeehaw!
Bye, guys.
Korean Cowboys Codcast. Now, analyzing the analytics of our channel, we realized that 60% of the viewers of this channel are not...
You guys are going to make him cry, guys.
No.
What he was trying to say was...
I choked on my spit.
60% of the viewers on our channel aren't subscribed, so if you guys can take the time out of your days to help our channel grow, please make sure to hit that subscribe button. So, yeah.
You're much nicer than me, because I wouldn't have said it that way.
You guys almost made him cry.
No, I choked on my own spit. That's how passionate I am.
He's so sad, guys. Make it rain!
We gotta clean this up now.
Yeah.
Thank you.